socks are off. I'm flying through the hallway like a disco moth. Pushing to the couch, then I loop through the fan. My tiny whoop's grooving like a funky jam. I dip through the doorway, spin by the cab, bounce off the toaster, yeah, I meant to do that. Neighbors knocking, saying, what's that sound? It's my brush motor soul train getting down. Flying through the curtain, dancing on breeze. Freestyle funk in my living room with ease. Tiny whoop magic, bumping every wall. I'm the James Brown of flight. Can't stop it all. I got LED strobes and a shag rug trail. I'm looping through the lava lamp, leaving a tail. My whoop's got rhythm, my stick's got soul. I'm the pilot of the party. On a roll, TV remote's a gate, the lamps a dive. I'm flying like it's 7.5. No GPS, no rules, no shame. Just a funky little quad in a soul train frame. You below, below, we fly that flow. Below, spread that gap. No time to nap, no time to nap. Hit that roll, funk and control. Funk and control, bounce that wall. Bounce that all. We fly it all. Funk it all. We fly it all. Tiny whoop love, funky and free. We fly indoors, we fly with glee. Whoop it, loop it, groove it, move it, bounce it, flip it, funk it, rip it, fly that soul, don't lose control. Tiny whoop love gonna make you whole. I thread the needle through the vinyl stacks, bounce off the mirror ball, never looking back. My quad's got soul, it's got style, it's got sass. It dips through the incense like a blast from the past. I'm flying figure eights through the lava lamp glow, dodging house plants like a funky pro. My whoop's got rhythm, my stick's got heat. I'm the pilot of the party with the grooviest beat. I loop through the hallway, I dive by the broom. I'm the disco ghost in your living room. I hit that split, it's over grandma's chair. She just claps and says, boy, you got flair. I'm flying freestyle with a velvet touch. My quad so smooth it don't need a clutch. From the shag rug to the ceiling fan, I'm the funky little fly with a master plan. The curtains dancing on the breeze. Freestyle funk in my living room with ease. Tiny whoop magic bumping every wall. I'm the James Brown of flight. Can't stop at all. Can't stop at all. Can't stop at all.
What's up, friends? Don't be like me and buy a computer for less than $10 million and expect it to work at all. My God. I hate computers with every fiber of my being. It's just a non-stop nightmare of doom and despair. Well, hello there. Happy Sunday, fuckers. Computers are the worst, and every single time I have to use one, I wish for 1,000 tarantulas to crawl out of my eyeballs. I flew my favorite exotic car rally, my only exotic car rally, last year and this year. I have been lucky enough to get hired to fly the Smile a While exotic car rally out of Fayetteville, Alabama, which is an exotic rally that started from a little boy with cancer who said to, I believe him and I forget the actual story. I remember it from last year a little bit, but basically the family that started this rally, I forget who it was in the family that was going through cancer treatment, but a little boy who was also going through cancer treatment said, long story short, I would love to he was into cars, and he was like, I love Lamborghinis. I would love to get to ride in a Lamborghini. I don't know how else to say it, but like before the end. The Smile a While car rally was created, and so folks pay a ton of money to enter into the rally with all other exotics, and then they get paired up with cancer patients and cancer survivors to go on a 15 to 20 mile or so circuit as a passenger in an exotic. And yeah, I've gotten to fly it for the last 2 years in a row. I drove out there on Friday. As always, when I get gigs over this time, into one time zone over, I always forget that there's a time zone difference. And so, like, I always look up how long it's going to take to get there. And then I'm like, oh, that's not bad. And then I leave, and I'm like, why does it say 4 hours instead of 3? And then every single time I'm like, oh, great. And so I either get there an hour early, or sometimes I don't. I get there on time. But there's always that extra hour. And at 45 years old, oh my God, the difference between driving 3 and 4 hours is absurd. I remember when I used to drive from New Jersey down to Boone, North Carolina, South Carolina, I don't know. It was like an 8 to 10 hour drive depending on traffic, and it was like not a big deal. And that was in the Miata when it was in like full-blown street touring spec. Now I'm doing it in a much more comfortable, still 2,000-pound car, but way more comfortable with the Mazda 2. And it's just misery. It's absolute. The last hour is absolute misery. It's outrageous, but totally worth it. It's a great gig. Raises just tons of money for this Clearview Cancer Institute, which is what you were just watching, which is where the rally kicks off from. And so yeah, we'll play through some of the footage here today. Hey, does anybody have any experience with GoPro's native white balance? This is the first time I've used it, and I'm not finding... I think I found the right LUT to convert it to Rec 709 or 79, whatever the hell it is. I think I have the right LUT, but on some of the stuff that I flew, it still doesn't look quite right. And so I'm wondering if there's anybody out there that has, experience with the I will not use the native white balance again. I will just do what I used to do, which is set it to 5500, which is like basically sunlight. And then when you set your white balance to 5500, if you fly inside, it's fine. It has to get fixed in post, but most of what all of us fly is going to get touched up at least a little bit in post. And so yeah, like 5500 is such an easy option because it's sort of in the middle-ish, and it's pretty industry standard. And it's just easy to fix in pretty much all lighting conditions. Native white balance is to white balance as raw is to contrast and sharpening, in that like it doesn't apply any adjustment whatsoever. It basically just gives you exactly what's on the sensor, which is a good thing, because essentially the GoPro is not taking what's coming out of the sensor and screwing around with it. You can screw around with it in post and Premiere and DaVinci Resolve, etc. And so like somebody that's good at color grading will be able to take this native 10-bit raw stuff and be totally fine with it. I'm not that. I'm not great at color grading or editing in general. And so like it's fine. Like I'm going to dump this footage on the guys that are going to edit it, and I'm sure they'll be able to work with it. It's totally fine. But for me, I want to do a little bit of an edit, and so I want to find the right LUT for going from native to rec and I just haven't quite found it. I only had enough I didn't get in until late last night, and I was just exhausted. And so I didn't have a ton of time to research it, but yeah, if anybody just has the LUT floating around, I did find a few LUTs that you can buy, which I might end up doing. It's the one LUT pack is $40, which is a bit much, but you know, made by somebody trying to do something cool, and so I don't have a problem supporting that. But it would be nice to have a free one that would just knock it out. So we'll see, because like that $39 is like an entire LUT, for the record, is light uplook table, and it is just a pre-baked set of contrast, saturation, white balance, lights, darks, shadows, highlights, adjustments. Just a bunch of adjustments that drop in there. And if you want to do nothing at all, you can just turn a LUT on and, oh, it looks different. Great. And just don't even think about it, and yeah, don't make it make sense to like the flying or the mood or anything like that. And that's fine. Some people love that. I don't. I don't really like to use LUTs unless I absolutely have to. When you're shooting in RAW, though, the GoPro LUT, the DJI LUT, they do work really well to get it to like a baseline that you can then adjust a little bit. If you take that raw footage and you color grade it from scratch, it takes a lot more time than just dropping a LUT in, turning the intensity way down on the LUT because they're always way too aggressive, and then you can do like touch up kind of stuff to bring it to where you want it. And so yeah, it is nice to use those like standard ones, but all of the creative LUTs I don't really understand. Like they're the folks that create a lot of these creative LUTs, they're creating these sets of adjustments for footage or for an edit that they're working on. You're gonna have different footage, you're gonna be working on a different edit, so it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for anything that you're ever gonna work on, which is the main reason that I don't really use them or believe in them. Can it like spark your creativity to sure? Can it lead you down the wrong path? Much more likely, in my opinion. Like if there's a vibe to the music, if there's a feel to the footage or to the subject or something like that, you should go with that. You shouldn't just go ripping through a bunch of different LUTs and like, ooh, that one's green and looks cool. It's not about looking cool. It's about having it like make sense and hopefully add something to the edit, other than like, oh, it looks different, right? Like we've all seen people that turn the saturation up way too high, and it's like, oh, it looks vibrant, and everyone will want to watch this. No, they won't. They will click off of it because it makes our eyes bleed. So there you go. There's a rant that you didn't ask for. I'm going to play through. I'm just going to hit play on this footage and let it roll and talk to you a little bit about the day. Those of you OGs will remember from last year the chaos of this event. So this ends up... This is about as close as you can get to like full-blown run-and-gun FPV, which is not the best way to... FPV is not really run and gun typically. You know, it takes us a minute to get settled, find the right spot to stand, get plugged in, take a breath, let DJI connect, right? And so, yeah, it's tough. It's tough to do FPV as like a, you know, hurry up and fly it and then get back in a cop car and go ripping down the road. But I got some really cool shots last year and this year that everybody loved, and you know, that's important. That's a big part of my job. So yeah, I did as good of a job at it as I possibly could. I got better shots than the helicopter did this year. Last year the helicopter had one of those giant gimbals on the front, those massive, like hideously expensive camera platforms. And so I'll absolutely admit that last year the helicopter got way better shots than I did. But this year they did not have that. That helicopter broke the night before the rally, Friday night. The organizer of the rally got a text message like, "Hey, the helicopter's down. I'm so sorry, we can't get it up and running." And so they hired like somebody there, because it's a room filled with people that own exotics, right? So it's a room full of people that have infinite money. Go figure. One of the people there is like, "Oh, I got a helicopter guy." I shit you not. And so he called his helicopter guy, and then he came out, and they put two of the videographers, photographers in that. And so they were shooting out the side of which, I'm so jealous, man. I'm never jealous of anybody else on set. Like, I'm always just like, yep, I got the coolest job on set. Sorry, but that's just the way it is. But for the first time in 5 years of doing this full time, I was absolutely jealous of these two guys that got to ride in the helicopter and shoot out the side of it. That was, yeah, that's, I would love to have done that when I was deep into shooting still photography. But yeah, there's no way with regular mirrorless cameras and like 70 to 200 lenses, they got the kind of footage that I did. It's just an unfair comparison. I'm sure they got great footage, but yeah, I'm super happy. And this year, since I knew like some of the roads and I just knew how this thing was going to go, I was able to get set up and get in the air much better in much better locations, to be able to get better footage. So last year was really, really rough, not realizing that it felt like every single area that I got to fly last year, the exotics were hammering 120, 130, 140, 50, and there isn't a goddamn thing we can do about that unless we have a rocket ship drone, which didn't even exist last year. And so, yeah, last year was rough, not realizing it. This year, the police slowed everybody down. They kept everybody below 100. And they were just way better about like keeping the exotics in the right lanes so that the cops could get past them in the left. And so, yeah, it was a blast. It was an absolute blast. And a absurd amount of money got raised for, like I said, this Clearview Cancer Institute, which is great. At the Friday night, they have a dinner, and then they have like a bunch of auction stuff. A watch company donated a Rolex Submariner Hulk edition. It's just green. That someone bought for $26,000. Which was apparently a great deal for that specific watch. God, man. Yeah, I've never felt so out of place in my life. Half the room was it felt like was like military folks too. It's crazy how much money anybody even remotely involved in the military is able to make. I'm not sure if that's a great thing, friends. I feel like, I don't know, maybe military should be like kind of maybe non-profit. It's just, or at least maybe we put some guardrails on it, you know, maybe. Hey, I never said I was good at making money. God damn, can I spend it though? Although, boy, I've actually not gotten very good at spending money. In my 20s, I was good at spending money. FizzPV was first in the chat. You can FPV, J-Tux, Dannon, Gusto, Chuck P, Brandane, Chaser, Hey Ryan, Uriel, B-Bird, Gusto, YouTube did the thing, Uke, J-Tux again, FizzPV, Frank Dr. Nicholas, Hey Ryan, Chef Bruno, McShaky, Eco. I'm sure I'm missing people because YouTube just did the thing. Not the person, it actually did the thing where it scrolls to the bottom. Smirk Station, McShaky. I might have gotten most of you. If not, come on back next time. Tomorrow night, 10 o'clock. Eastern. YouTube did the thing, tagged me in the chat, and says, was this rally for people that couldn't get to Monterey? Yeah, the Monterey rally out in California was this weekend. You know who comes to this rally every year is Ed Bolin from VinWiki. And so it's not everybody that can't go to Monterey. It's people that, you know, some people prefer to be at this. I'm sure that Ed could and has been to Monterey numerous times. FizzPV says, you see what I sent you on Discord? I did not. I have not been on Discord in days. I will get to it as soon as I can, though, for you. Yuke says, got all the new BetaFPV Meteor 75 Pro parts. Put my original 04 75 in the new frame. Props to test today. Going to build an analog one with the new motors, Matrix 2 BI. Very cool. That'll be very fun. The new frames are really, really good. Yuke also says, Wade, the new versus old frame. New one is 1.6 grams lighter. My God. And much thinner ducts. Pretty high hopes for an analog outdoors silent ripper. Yeah, the new 65 and 75 Pro frames are fantastic. The old Meteor 65 Pro frame was not super heavy. The old 75 Pro frame, though, was... I don't know why they did that. They made it so incredibly heavy for a rig that's going to be 1S and lightweight. So there was a definite mismatch there with the old 75 Pro frame. But yeah, the new 75 Pro frame is pretty fantastic. And this thing did great. I'm going to get caught up on chat, and then I'm going to dive into to talking about the gig and what I flew, and then I'll throw on some of the flight footage. So you got to look at my big dumb flappy mouth for another couple minutes at least. Uriel says, you did not scratch a car. Insurance for such things. I did not scratch a car. No, I do lots and lots and lots of work around exotics. If you're going to charge money for FPV, in my opinion, it is absolute top priority to have gear that is absolutely dialed in. You have to build smart with the right parts. I didn't mean that to rhyme, but I love that it did. You need to build clean. You need to maintenance the shit out of your stuff. You got to fly it before every gig. You got to push it really hard before every gig. You got to push it really hard every couple of batteries. It is absolutely the most important thing, in my opinion, that you never, ever, ever have your shit fall out of the sky. When you're being paid, or when you're on set, when you're around people, when you're around exotics. And so, yeah, I've done easily 15, 20 gigs flying above, around, inside of exotics. Also, I do stuff to my gear it's like, so the Cinewhoops, for example, they're all over there. The Cinewhoops have... they're mainly carbon fiber and then like TPU on top. Just basically like you look at a rig and you say, okay, is there anything that can scratch paint or walls or whatever you're flying around? And if there's an exposed bit of carbon here, my favorite thing to do is I take a hot glue stick. That's not a hot glue stick. Fuck it. You guys know what a hot glue stick looks like. Found it. All you got to do is say that, and you'll find what you're looking for. You take a hot glue stick, you hit it with it, you hit the tip of it with a lighter, and then you just that wherever is potentially scratchable, and then you spin it around and you rip it off, and then you'll usually have a little tail. You hit that tail with a lighter, it blobs up, and then you just do that. And so like Cinewhoops, a lot of times like in the corners below the duct, there'll be a little edge of carbon fiber, and so you just this on there, and then. And you go around the entire rig. You look at the entire rig. You look for any spot. And like I also find it really good, like on my desk. Imagine this is my desk surface. I'll sit here and I'll just take the rig and I'll literally go around, and I'll just try to find a spot where anything that could scratch or damage could potentially hit. And then you pad that spot. The hot glue is excellent padding. You can get black hot glue sticks, so it's not that ugly yellowish clear bullshit. And so, yeah, everything that I fly around people, around cars, in houses, have been loved in a way that, A, they just hopefully won't fall out of the sky, I do everything that I can possibly do to prevent that. And then B, God forbid they do, they won't hurt anything. So yeah, but I also do carry drone insurance. But and most gigs that I work, actually, I'm covered under their insurance. That's also a conversation that I always have of like, hey, does whatever insurance you're carrying cover drones? And they look it up and they let me know. So yeah, YouTube Did the Thing says, great to see these big money people giving something back. Did Bardwell buy the watch? I don't think Bardwell would even be that crazy to spend that kind of money. Whew, boy. You could buy at least 6 of my car for what that watch was. What would you rather? How much more fun would you have with 6 Mazda 2s and your friends than one watch? Come on. You and 5 friends with cars that like you don't care about or whatever. That's an absolute party. A watch is just a watch. Come on now. $20 on eBay. It's got a fucking light. Look at this. Look at this fancy shit. You know what that Hulk won't do? Won't do that. Can't even see it. Battery's probably dead. No, it's on. Look at this. Look at this. Here you go. I got you. Look. Look at this. Look at this. Look. Why can't you see it? It's so dim. Well, I can see it. It's got that indigo shit, yo. Casio F91W. $20 on Amazon all day. Best watch ever made. The best watch ever made. It tells time with quartz. It's got quartz in it. Come on now. Battery lasts for 10 years. Smirk Station with a $2 super chat. He says charging packs. Nice. We're going to fly a few batteries today outside because it's daylight. Hotbox FPV says, just finished installing my 702 32,500 kV screamers on the Cockroach V3 with props all the way down on shaft. The props run below halfway point of the duct. Should I raise them a little? Nope, never. The higher the prop is, the more instantaneously it's going to bend the motor shaft. You have to run the props all the way down. As long as the prop is not completely below the duct, you're winning. Most tiny whoop frames, the prop will sit all the way below the actual duct, and that's super annoying. So yeah, if the prop is at all on the inside of the vertical surface of the duct, you're doing amazing. Levster says, hey, Uriel says, rich people park their money in such things, get the money back at tax. Yeah, it's true. It's true. The ways that folks avoid paying taxes is kind of disappointing. But, you know, I guess if you have enough money, you can pay smart enough people to be able to hide all that money that you've got from taxes, and then you can make even more money. I don't know. I would have a hard time sleeping at night. But hey, that's just me. YouTube Did the Thing says, having once owned a Spirit Green Mazda 2, I can agree they're more fun than telling the time. Indeed, they are some of the most fun, cheapest cars that you can get. One of the best world cars of all time. World car is a designation of something that a manufacturer can sell to literally in every single market around the world. The Ford Mustang is not a world car. There are lots of places on this earth that will have no interest and no budget for a Ford Mustang. Mazda 2 is what's considered a B-spec car. It's a cheap hatchback that is sold absolutely around the globe because it's inexpensive and it's good. And you can put stuff in it, and it's just a great thing with seats, steering wheel, and 4 wheels. Uriel says, you're allowed to deduct a luxury product if you pay a lot of tax. Indeed you are. The tax write-off stuff around cars is crazy, dude. There's like a weight limit. If you buy a car over a certain weight limit, it's considered like a business expense, and you can write it off and hide a bunch. It's crazy. It's really, it's a rough. Hey, AliExpress finally came through. This should be our 90-degree water plugs. Yes, they sent the right thing this time. Amazing. So there's 50 in here. I am gonna buy more. I don't need 50, and so this is going to be an Etsy item. If you can't wait for me to do the Etsy listing, because it'll probably take me at least a week, just message me if you need these. These are my absolute favorite for these open prop itty bitty builds, because there are plenty of motors that you can get with motor plugs. And a little build like this, with open prop, you're gonna bang motors up. And so being able to just remove the motor, same deal as Tiny Whoops. Remove the motor, unplug it, swap a new one on. It's really, really nice. Most of these builds are also on 2S, and with the voltage doubled, the losses in these plugs are actually less obvious. And pretty much all of these 2S rigs have like damn near infinite power, it feels like, and really, really good runtime. So you won't even notice it. Yeah, it's not that bad to solder to these things, but motor plugs are king as far as I'm concerned, on low voltage, small, not low, yeah, we'll call it low voltage, whatever, on small stuff. And so, yeah, these are available. I'm going to keep probably like 8 of these, and then the rest will be on the Etsy store. And then I'm going to, next time, I'm going to do a set of 100, so I will have these for everyone and anyone. YouTube Did the Thing says, under the shell, they're 95% of Ford Fiesta. Depends on which Mazda 2. The previous generation to mine was a Ford Fiesta. And there are a couple there's a control arm. There's a couple things on mine that say FOMOCO on them, which is Ford Motor Company. But yeah, my generation, which is the DE, I think my chassis code is DE. It's been a while since I was obsessed with that car, but is not just a Ford Fiesta. It's a full tilt Mazda product that was, you know, and I think they worked on them together originally. I'm not sure, but yeah, super similar, regardless of it being not just a Fiesta with Mazda badging. Very, very similar, in a very close vein to the Ford Fiestas. The coolest swap, the coolest thing to do with a Mazda 2 is to find a Ford Fiesta ST turbocharged drivetrain, motor and transmission, and rear disc brakes, and it apparently just drops right the hell in. You got to deal with gauges and ECU and shit like that, which is always annoying with engine swaps. But yeah, it fits really, really easily. I would absolutely love to do that with mine one day, but unfortunately the Fiesta STs were kind of rare, and so it's an expensive drivetrain. But you never know, man. You never know. So Smile a While Exotic Rally. Let me throw some of this flight footage on for you. Let me do this real quick. I'm gonna make a folder for stabilized, and then so I'm gonna play all of the Real Steady Go, which is now GoPro Player, stabilized footage for it. This is going to be a mix of FPV Cycle Cinesplore 2 and FPV Cycle Glide footage. 2306, 1950 kV. I think motor limited down a little bit, maybe to like 90%, with HQ R42 racing propellers. In the intro of the live stream, that was the first Cinewoop battery I flew. Here comes the second, and then it'll just loop through. So why is it? Oh, man, this computer is just brutal. What is going on? Okay, there we go. And so again, this is native white balance. And oh yeah, see, yeah, the native, when I put this GoPro LUT on it, it does not like the. This is the LUT for when you film in RAW, so it's not adding saturation. This is not the right LUT for the native white balance. Well, let me just. All right, so GP log. This is that is now the right one, but it's still, see, like up on top, it's really, really saturated. Let me pull the amount down a little bit. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. All right, we'll leave it like that. That looks about right. It's still not quite right, but whenever you do this shit, whenever you film in RAW and you use native white balance, there's always color correction that has to be done. Like, you know, you put these LUTs on to get you somewhat in the ballpark, and then you really have to still always do some adjustments. And within OBS, it doesn't really let me do those adjustments. So, but you'll be fine. It'll be okay. By the way, today is August 23rd. I always forget to say the date. And YouTube, unbelievably, does a terrible job dating stuff. They just put like 12 months ago, 11 months ago. What? Why? What world? Put the date, idiots. What are you doing? What is wrong with YouTube? They make so many insane decisions. Dan and FPV says, any opinions on Gemfan 45mm 3-blade props? I have a bunch and trying to use them in my Mobula 7. They are out of balance and way too heavy. So yeah, I stay away from them. YouTube did the thing, said under the shell, they're... Okay, so we already talked about that. All right, so we're good. So yeah, Smile a While. It starts here at Clearview Cancer Institute. Everybody lines up here. They get those Smile a While windshield banners put on. Well, actually, it starts Friday night. There's a dinner. They did it at a botanical garden, which was really cool. I'll play. They don't hire me to fly that Friday night. They invite me to come out and mingle and have dinner and whatnot. And so I don't put the GoPro up in the air at that, but I do put little stuff up in the air because it's fun to fly, and like, why the hell not? And it's cool content for the live stream. And so I'll play that now. Now I'm gonna have to turn that LUT off though. And so what I did is I flew both the O4 narrow on the 2S rig and the O4 wide on the Beta Meteor 75 Pro. And good lord, the weight difference is noticeable for sure. I didn't really notice it as much flying these things outside, but flying them inside, I could absolutely notice the weight difference between them. And so the Meteor 75 Pro V2 04 wide was just way more comfortable to fly. Also, the wide angle, of course, helps, right? We've already talked about that. But yeah, the bind and fly was significantly easier to fly inside of here. Also, it's also probably helped by the fact that it has less power. So wider field of view, lighter weight, less power. It was absolutely more comfortable to fly in here. Outside, it's the complete opposite. The 2S 04 narrow custom build, which is very similar to a HappyModel Mobula 704. But on a bigger frame with 2-inch props. Outside, this was way more competent, way better to fly. Here's some of the silent auction stuff. And so, yeah, we kind of knew that, but it's always good to sort of back that stuff up. I really wanted to do a really low flyover of that table, but there were individual sheets for each item, and I didn't want to blow those pieces of paper around and then not know which one goes where. So I just kept my distance from that table. They probably won't use this footage anyway. Again, they don't hire me to do this. This specific thing, event, let's say, and they don't really do an edit with this, but I send them the footage because why the hell wouldn't I? And I have a blast. This is very fun for me to kind of do this. You know, I couldn't have any less in common with any of these people, and so, you know, I talk to the other photographers that are there, and I do try my best to kind of mingle with these folks to try to find somebody, because, you know, again, infinite money. I try hard to find people that might be willing to hire me, but it's very, very difficult, and I didn't have any luck last year. But again, you know, this is fun for me. Like, flying these little guys is very fun. There's nothing at risk, right? Putting the Hero 12 in the air above exotics, there's a lot of risk associated with that, and I'm only doing that if I'm getting paid. This, if I bump somebody in the head with a 25-gram rig, it's fine. All is well. And so, you know, there's no risk, and I'm having a good time. This is them doing a part of the auction. And so, yeah, put a few batteries in the air, gives me something to do. And also, to be honest, like, doing this is one of the best ways that I've found to actually find something in common with these folks, because the ones that have drones will see me flying, and then they'll come up to me and they'll want to talk drones, versus, like, you know, I walk up to somebody and I'm like, hey, you want to talk about drones, bro? Right? And so, like, in actuality, flying these things kind of greases the wheels to start some conversations with some of these people. I also just, I'm not a super schmoozy kind of guy. I've never loved that. And so I have a hard time just walking up to people and kind of talking about them. I really sort of need that. I more often than not need someone else to, like, start the conversation, or at least, like, you know, get like a nod or like a look of like, oh, what are those weird things around your neck? Because I always make it a point to wear my goggles the whole time that I'm here. So yeah, you know, find what works, friends. If you're not good at schmoozing, find a way for other people to kind of approach you. Night's kind of winding down here. I was hanging out with a bunch of photographers over here on the left, and so I wanted to just kind of fly around them, and so we were just kind of screwing around, just showing off a little bit. This is, you know, this footage ain't great, but it's nice to, like, I don't know, I get uncomfortable, like, if I sit around people that I'm not super comfortable with for too long, I get, like, really antsy. And it's like perfect. I can, like, walk away, fly half a battery, and then, like, calm. Weirdly, like, it calms me down, and then I can, you know, walk back over and laugh about, you know, crashing on the chair. That works for me. You got to find what works for you, friends. You know, we gotta interact with other human beings. Find the least obnoxious way to kind of do it, and make people laugh and smile in the process, hopefully. So yeah, this was Friday night. Went back to my hotel room, charged some batteries. Nothing crazy. It was an hour behind, so it was actually a little bit easier to fall asleep, which was nice. I was up bright and early the next morning, which this should snap into here with the next one. And hey, there we go. So screw it. Let's let all the small footage run. This is fun. So I do make it a point to fly the small stuff as often as I can at actual gigs, just to, like, have something and to kind of show people, like, look, you know, we can do this in itty bitty little stuff with guarded things and cars. It is so easy to fly through open windows, and, like, there's zero risk. When Atlanta Autos, the exotic car dealership here, the big one here in Atlanta, hires me to do work, I do this shit with the Cinewhoop, with the GoPro Hero 6, because they use that footage for marketing and advertising. My footage has actually been played in Times Square on the massive screens in Times Square, and so it's doable with full-size Cinewhoops, but oh my god, doing it with these little shits, it's just hysterical. Like, you can with the Cinewhoop, like, and I like the way it looks anyway. Like, you have to be dialed. Like, if your path is not absolutely dialed by the time you get to that window, you have to bail. With the little fuckers, I can make corrections inside the car like that. And you can bump into the cars and it doesn't matter because they don't weigh anything in their plastic. And so this was really, really fun to just weave in and out of cars. They were all told to keep their windows and or their doors open too. Leave it to the goddamn Viper to not listen and have their windows be closed. I was hoping to weave in and out of the entire row of cars. So yeah, that I was a little bit annoyed by that, but this is tough because there's people walking around, and so, like, before I go through the cars, I'm always having to look for if there's somebody that's about to walk in between. Sometimes I'll just kind of chance it because I'm just flying a little whoop. I knew that guy was coming. I knew it was going to be close, but I was like, whatever, it's a tiny whoop. It's all good. And so, yeah, this is mainly me just kind of screwing around. But again, what's cool is people see me doing this shit and they come walking over and they talk to me and, you know, oh, we're the construction company. Oh, very cool. You ever have anybody do a fly through? And I just, you know, try to tie it all back to FPV as best I can. But yeah, so this is them kind of like explaining the route, all that stuff. They talk a little bit about what started the rally and all that jazz. And everybody gets ready. After I get done flying here, basically this is like from 7 until about 9, and then they roll out at 9:30, I believe it was. 7 to 9 we work, we fly, we take pictures, the other guys take pictures and B-roll. And then at 9, we all stop and we all go over to the, like, 30 or so police vehicles that are on the other side of the parking lot here, and organize with the Fayetteville police, Fayetteville Sheriff's Department, actually, to figure out which car each photographer and or videographer and or drone pilot is gonna ride in. And so we talk about, like, which intersections that particular officer is going to be closing off. Last year basically I said, like, who's got the fastest car, who's got the fastest patrol vehicle, and that's who I went out with. He was not necessarily the guy that was closing down the intersections that were the best option for me to sort of fly from, and so that was a total mistake last year, just like assuming that, like, the fastest guy would be able to get me to the front more often. And so this year we understood it a lot better. It's not much of a problem for the videographers because they're hanging out the passenger side, just getting rolling shots, which we call rollers. This is after the event. They stop here and there's a big ass car show. And so, yeah, it's not as much of a big deal for the videographers. Like, they're hanging out the side window, and then when they get to an intersection, they just jump out and shoot. When it's ready to go, jump back in. It's totally different for me because I'm not run and gun, right? Like, it takes me some time to get up into the air, and then it takes me time to get it back and get it safe and get back in the car. And so after what we learned last year, we did a much better job. I actually ended up riding with 2 different officers, because the one would have me in good. It was actually the same guy from last year, and that also really helped. Like, riding in the car with him last year all day, and, like, discussing what I do. Like, he understood how FPV works, and, like, you know, sort of the limitations. And so this year he was like, dude, all right, I was hoping you would be here. I got it all figured out for you. Like, he did a bunch of the homework. He was a really cool guy, young guy. He's like, yeah, when we were planning all this out, I knew exactly like where you would want to be. And he's like, cool, you know, my first on the way out, I got the perfect spot for you. It's a nice big long run. It's not up over a hill like it was last year. So that was really, really, really cool. And then he's like, on your way back, you're going to jump into this other guy's car. He's got 3 spots for you that should be really, really good. And so that was awesome. Like, I'm so appreciative for that. Because it gave me a little bit more time to actually like get set and be in a spot that I could chase for a little bit more time, because they don't give a shit about me. Like, they are they're there to prevent accidents and prevent people from dying. And so they're there to control traffic and to close down intersections. And so, like, everything that we do is, like, can't get in the way of that. So, like, the way that it basically works is that they keep all the exotics in the right lane. They plan the route out in as two lane roads in both directions. Hopefully, as much as possible with a nice median in between, grass or concrete. And so they tell all the exotics to stay in the right lane, because these 20, 30, 40, I don't know how many, cop SUVs and trucks have to be able to use the left lane to leapfrog. So they all go out and close down a whole bunch of intersections, and then the exotics come by, and then the last cop, when the last exotic goes by, he gets in the left lane, and he leapfrogs all the way up as far as he can to his next intersection, and then the next one, and the next, and so it just, and it just, like, yeah, it just runs like that. The other thing they did this year is they kind of kept the exotics slowed down a little bit. Last year they were going ape shit at points, 140, 150, 160, and none of the cops can keep up with them. And so they kept them below 100 this year, which helped a lot. It helped the cops be able to get back up to the front of the train. And not only do they have to get up to the front of this train of like 60, 70 exotics, but they then have to get past them to then close these intersections down. And they did such a good job this year. Oh my God. Like, right at the very end, it got congested because it was in an area with 1 million businesses, and there's only so much you can do. But man, all the way up until that very last turn, it was smooth sailing. Like, they did, I don't know how the hell they organized all this. Like, I know that the rally has to pay this police department or sheriff department a ton of money to put in this much work to do it, but they did a great job figuring out which intersections to close down, which officer, how to loop these guys, right? Like, crazy organization that they did. And yeah, it worked absolutely perfect. And so basically, the guy that I was with, we went out, and the very first stop was closing the interstate, and he's like, if you absolutely like really, really need or want to fly on the interstate, I guess you can, but the shot's not going to be very good, and I would rather you not be out of the car on the interstate. I was like, brother, no, I am in the car. I'm not. And so they did the move where they swerve across 5 lanes to get everybody backed up, and they closed this interstate. And I'm so glad that I didn't fly, because it was a useless shot, and it was just like the exotics coming off the off ramp, and they were going really slow, and it was stupid. So that was absolutely perfect. And so they close the interstate, the exotics come on, and then he fucking goes. I posted a couple videos on my Instagram, in my Instagram stories of it. 110, 120 in a pickup truck in the left lane, blowing past these exotics to get up to his first actual intersection that he's closing down, which was perfect. It was the best shot of the day. He even told me, he's like, man, I picked the perfect spot for you. It's a huge, long, straight run, and goddamn was he right. And he got me up there in just enough time, jump out. I get as much ready as I can, jump out, plug in, DJI Connect, good to go. Get up in the air and just start railing. And so, okay, so that's what you watched in the No, it's not. No, it's not. We're going to skip right to that. We're going to skip right to that battery. I'm not showing you 2 batteries of Cinewhooping. Boo-hoo. So this is that first spot. And so, hold on. Let me give you the... let me give you that LUT again, which will make it a little bit better. It's still a little green, but... and so, yeah, this is our first stop. And this is probably the best that I got all day. This is really challenging. Like, it's the gap between all of these cars is way too big, and then they're going way too fast. And so, like, you know, I'm on pitchy props. I did have the Cineglide, but the Cineglide is on 2507s with 5152 really pitchy 5-inch props. This is just like a regular old 5-inch on 2306s, but man, like the Cineglide it's more of like a big, heavy kind of long range rig. This is, I want to be really maneuverable. I also want to be flying something that I'm really, really comfortable with. And I would rather be on a smaller, a 55 amp. They both have 55 amp ESCs. I would rather be on a smaller motor with a 55 amp ESC at absolute full throttle above a you know, $1 million exotic than something on 2507s. And like this rig, you know, what am I going to get? Like an extra 5, maybe 10 miles an hour out of the Cineglide, and it's going to eat the battery that much faster, right? And so I think this is the right choice. But whoo boy, these guys, I know it doesn't look like it, but they are railing. 65, 70 miles an hour is completely different to 80, 90, 100. And I mean, I am just is there audio? Hold on. Yeah. Listen. Hold on. Ready? Listen to me lay into it. Like, I'm trying to make the battery last. See the gap? The gap between the cars? There we are. It feels so abusive. Like, it feels so abusive to just hang on the throttle like that for such a distance. There we were again. Yeah, just crazy. And like, you know, I don't want to just do that one run, right? Like, we have a little bit more time. We won't jump back into our cruiser truck until the whole group is passed, right? So like, I have time to go back again and do the 2 runs. I also didn't realize that last year. And so, yeah, this just worked perfect. But yeah, see this gap between the cars? Like, I'm having to push the damn thing so hard that, like, this is tough, man. This is, like, and it just looks like I'm cruising down the highway, but, like, I'm trying to make a good shot. I'm trying to make it interesting. I'm trying to think about, like, you know, these editors are going to do, like, a 60-second edit. Like, what can I do that actually makes its way in there? Also, like, I don't want the thing to fall out of the air and get collected in the front of a fucking exotic's grill, right? So, yeah, I don't know. This is as good as I've been able to figure out how to do. I wish we could get these guys to tighten up. The biggest problem is the gaps in between these cars. Like, if they were tightened up, I could kind of hang out with each car for a little bit longer, but, like, in reality, like, I gotta get past each car to be able to get to the next one. Like, I don't want to be like link up with one car and then spend 5 seconds trying to make a cool shot and then break off of him and get to the next one. Like, I don't have that time. It's like go. So it's tough. This is a really interesting way of using FPV, right? We don't usually do it like point A to point B like this. Usually like we have an area that we fly in and we make that area look really, really cool. This is wild. Also like fighting the urge to drop down an inch off the the pavement. Like this was actually an interesting, here, listen to this one. This is a, ready? I can't. And then he comes ripping. That's a McLaren, I believe. Like, there were all these moments where I'm like, oh, just a little bit more throttle and I'll be able to catch him. Just a little bit more, just a little bit bit. Like, and I'm like, I'm at the end of the throttle. I'm like, holy shit, man. Like, you know, these 500 to 1500 horsepower cars, 100 miles an hour is nothing. Like at 100 miles an hour, they can plant the gas pedal and accelerate harder than my Mazda 2 will from a dig. And yeah, like it's I've done a bunch of work with like, you know, drift cars and track day stuff where they're speeding up and slowing down. And so like when they slow down, you can catch back up with them. And then when they speed up, you let them leave the frame basically. This is not that, man. They're just going the whole time. They're just carrying a shitload of speed the entire time. And that's, you know, that's like rocket drone kind of territory, which I don't have. And I also don't necessarily know if I would be comfortable flying a rocket drone in a setting like this, right? I want something that's dead fucking reliable. There's power lines. There's all kinds of shit going on. And so, yeah, I'm assuming they'll invite me back next year. They love having me. This is way better than the footage that I got last year. I don't necessarily think I'll be able to do it much better. Oh, look, I hit a bug. I don't think I'll be able to do it any better next year. I think this is about as good as it's going to get. Unless I guess if I can find a big enough amp. And yeah, see now, like, go. Like he's waiting on me. Like I have to get this thing unplugged, safe, get the fuck in the car so that he can get back on. And I'm trying like really hard not to make him wait. Because, you know, they're rampaging down the road at 90 miles an hour. and we got to now get into a pickup truck and try to catch him and pass him. And so, this was the third spot. This was, now we're starting to get towards center and now like city-ish areas, more populated areas. And now is when I start asking, this is now the second officer that I'm with. And now I'm starting to ask him like, you know, what's the cross traffic situation? Like how busy is this cross traffic going to be? Like what are you guys closing down? And this is where I'm starting to get a little like, okay, it's, you know, out just those first two out in the country, middle of nowhere, they got both sides closed for the most part, big ass grass median. This is where I'm starting to like, you know, we got this oncoming traffic over here. Obviously, I'm staying as far away from them as I possibly can. Obviously, like our direction of travel means everything, right? Like if this thing falls out of the air, it's going to go in a straight line. It's going to tumble in a straight line as they always do, right? But yeah, this is where I start to kind of back off and just be absolutely as safe as I can. Luckily, this is where they all start slowing down a little bit too, and so I can kind of try to get a couple little cameos. Unfortunately, with 40 degrees of up tilt, that it's hard to go slow. And so this was actually the most challenging part, I think, because I'm trying to be super mindful of the opposite side of the road, which is pretty empty, but I'm also flying 40 degrees of up tilt and trying to go a lot slower now, and that's just really rough. So this is like an exercise in like, let's be super safe right here. Let me see if I can get something cool maybe that they can use, but like this is about not fucking up right now. And then the next clip is when we started to really get into Fayetteville. And there were a lot of cars on the other side of the road, and like I I don't even know if I'm going to send him the next clip. I don't even know if I want to play the next clip on a live stream, but you know, these live streams don't get watched by that many people. But you know, this was a fully police controlled situation. They had these roads closed. This is, you know, that's what we're supposed to do. And I was not flying above those other cars and shit. So, I mean, it should be fine. But, like, you know, just logically, the 45-year-old in me wanting to be super, super, super safe. Yeah, it is what it is. The next clip is also not all that interesting. I was really happy with this one. I love those 360 spiders. It's a Ferrari, for those of you that aren't car nerds. And so, yeah, this turned out way better than I thought. I'm just going to give you a little bit of an example here on this one, because the footage isn't even all that great. And so, like, yeah, the road is mainly closed, but, like, look, you know, they had to, like, let this row of cars, and so it's just kind of like, yeah, I don't, and again, I'm staying the fuck away from them, but still, it's, yeah, you know, I'd rather be, if they're, look, when you guys are working a gig, if they are happy with the footage that you're giving them, stop there. You do not, it is not worth it to go beyond into Sketchyville if they're already happy with you. You know, like, they're not going to be that much happier with you if you do something sketchy. They're going to be way less happy with you if something bad happens. And so in my opinion, like, make them happy as safely as you possibly can and call it a day. Don't, like, second guess yourself, like, oh, I could have, would have, should have. Nope. They're happy. They're paying you. Deliver that footage. Move the fuck on. It is absolutely not worth it to be the guy that fucks it up for everybody and or obviously yourself. But yeah, they loved what I got, the footage that I got them last year, and this footage was way better. And so I'm just like, we good, cool. We gonna be super safe here. They're gonna love this, and away we go. Render FPV says, what about a 7-inch? So yeah, I have the 7-inch glide. 7-inch propellers. Well, let me put it this way. The heavier a rig gets. All right, so if a really heavy rig, if you go 10 degrees forward, let's put some numbers on it. So let's say 100 gram versus 10 grams. 100 grams, you go, it's putting 100 grams of thrust straight down. You go 10 degrees forward. You're going to have to put a little bit more thrust because some of it's going to get spilled rearwards, and more of it is going to get spilled rearwards because of how much is going downwards. And so one of the ways to go faster, weirdly, at the same pitch is to be heavier. And so that is, I think, a part of the misconception of 7-inch rigs are faster. They are not necessarily. A bigger propeller, yes, it will make more thrust, but it'll make more thrust over a bigger area. And so it'll pick heavier payloads up better. But it'll make that thrust at a lower velocity. And when you want to go really fast, you need airspeed, you need velocity. You don't need a wide area of thrust. You just need speed. If you want to go 100, you have to at least blow 101 miles an hour, right? And so a bigger propeller is going to require a ton more power to do 101 miles an hour of thrust versus a smaller propeller. And so when you look at like the high-speed rocket drone stuff, it's not a 20-inch propeller. They're doing 5-inch propellers. They're doing 7-inch propellers. They're doing smaller propellers to go 350 miles an hour because they don't need a big area of thrust. They don't need to pick up a heavy payload. They need mega airspeed. And so 5-inch propellers, we have platforms that are better tuned for 5-inch propellers, right? Like 90% of the R&D in the last decade of FPV and as a whole has been with 5-inch. So we have much better matched motors. The motors to the propellers. The motors themselves are made better because so many more of them have been produced, right? And so like the long and short of it to me is that go with what has had the biggest R&D cycle. But also, yeah, a 5-inch propeller, you can spin that thing to the moon, make mega airspeed, and then that is what's going to help you go faster, versus a 7-inch platform is going to be better at going farther. It's going to get better at carrying a heavier payload. And so a 7-inch rig with a big heavy battery, right? Yeah, sure. And they're going to cruise faster. See, again, this is the big misconception. A 7-inch rig with a giant battery at like an efficient cruise, it'll cruise very fast because it's so heavy. And so you put the nose down 10 degrees, the whole platform weighs a shitload, so it's going to send a ton of air backwards at that low up tilt, at that 10 degrees nose down that we usually like cruise at, or 15 or 20 or whatever, right? But we don't cruise like this. We cruise somewhere here. And so a big, heavy, big propped, big batteried rig is going to cruise really fast like this. That ain't this. And it ain't cruising at 100 miles an hour. To keep up with these guys, we're flying like this, like the rocket drones. And so when you're up like this, it doesn't matter. You need airspeed. You're an airplane at that point, right? And so you need a pitchy prop, and I chose the pitchiest lightweight racing prop that I had, because I was pairing it with a 2306, right? I wasn't planning on flying the 2507. I brought the 2507 rig with the mega pitchy 5152 fucking oars. But I just felt way more comfortable with the lighter weight rig, and I'm glad that I did. I truly do not think that the Cineglide would have done any better, and it would have absolutely gobbled up these batteries quicker. And so, yeah, that, you know, I had to learn that for myself with this 7-inch build over the last like year or so. I thought that with a really aggressive bi-blade, that I would be able to make a 7-inch setup go really fast, really efficiently. The main problems that I've run into is that we just haven't perfectly dialed in the exact right propeller for the motor, for the all-up weight, and it's just not nearly as long, and we probably never will. Like, nothing will ever be as optimized as 5-inch stuff, because we've had tens of thousands of people putting, you know, hundreds, if not thousands of batteries into 5-inch builds, and then going on the internet and sharing their experiences, right? And then the companies optimizing the motors and the windings and the stator thickness and the you know, the material of the winding, and do we wind neatly or do we just, right? And so, yeah, I think I made the perfect choice. If nothing else, I chose the setup that is the most reliable and the most maneuverable and the lightest weight, so that God forbid something happens, right, it hits with less energy. So yeah, that was the thought process that kind of went into all of it. I didn't even bring the 7-inch build. I literally left this home. I brought the Cineglide because it has that massive battery tray area. At some point, that Cineglide will get the 7-inch arms. The 7-inch arms will come off of this regular glide and go onto that Cineglide, which is not there, but it usually sits right here. Because the Cineglide has a massive battery area. The one of the big problems with this 7-inch regular old glide is that I just can't put, you know, this is a freestyle this is a 5-inch freestyle frame. I can't put a big enough battery here for these giant 2510 motors. And so like I was putting these batteries on here that were like pushing the antenna down, and it's just a mess. and then like once the battery gets so long, it starts to be tail heavy, and it's just not, this ain't it. The regular glide frame with these 7-inch arms is not the right combination. And that's not what these arms were made for. The FPV Cycle Glide 7-inch arms were specifically made for the Cineglide. So yeah, I just, when I had these arms cut in 6mm, I didn't realize that the way that the Cineglide body goes together, there'd be a 1mm gap, and so now I have to have more carbon fiber cut to be able to use those arms on the Cineglide. But yeah, I'll get to it. I don't fly those rigs very much, and so it's super low priority. So yeah, that, there you go. That's how you go fast, friends. Airspeed, not just grams of thrust. Grams of thrust pick up heavy payloads. Airspeed makes ground speed. And so always keep that in mind. And that scales too. Like, if you wanted to build like the fastest tiny whoop, if you could find the right motor and a big enough battery, you would do it on 1.2 inch. One of the main things that makes me excited about the Meteor 65 Pro frame is that could be this. This is the smallest propeller, but with a big battery, right? We can put the wider batteries into this frame. And so this is the high-speed tiny whoop frame as far as I'm concerned, because these are the smallest props. If we can find a motor that's a high enough kV, this could be the speed champion, because it's got that bigger battery. You could put a big 650 mAh battery in here, right? And then it's heavy, it's going to go fast, and you can spin as much RPM. The limiting factor is going to be the motors. I don't know of any 802 or 1002 motors that are a high enough kV to really do that. But I am going to try to snag a set of tree toppers, because I believe that they are the highest kV of the motors that are beefy enough, bulky enough, big enough stator to crank a propeller like this. So yeah, that'll be interesting. So yeah, we went out, flew around, and then the rally ends at this stadium here. Another chance to do some cinewhooping. So yeah, it's like a car show on this side, and then the exotics roll in. They have their own 2 rows of the parking lot here. But yeah, there's a bunch of car show donkeys hanging out here all day long. Unfortunately, at one point the wind picked up and it blew a bunch of these tents like 100 feet in the air, and then they came down and scratched up a few of the cars. That was a little creepy. But yeah, everybody had a great time. It was like 7 billion degrees. I am, even though I drank tons of water, I was extremely dehydrated. Still am, come to think of it. And yeah, I need to find a GoPro native to Rec 709 LUT to make this footage, or I'll just learn to color grade. This might be the kick in the ass for me to spend a few hours watching some YouTube videos and actually learning how to dive into the hue, saturation, luminance, color wheels, and learn somewhat proper color grading. Because apparently this native white balance and raw 10-bit are like God's gift to color graders. So yeah, good time. Really, really good time. Absolutely exhausting. Just on the go. My feet are wrecked from walking around, jumping out of these cars, jumping back in. Met some great people. Hoping that maybe it'll lead to a couple more gigs here or there. You know, these supercar owners certainly have the money, that's for sure, right? There was there was not a car in sight worth less than like 200 grand, and there were some $3-4 million cars here. So yeah, these are the folks that that, let's be real, can afford some proper FPV flight footage of their car, if nothing else, right? Like, how would you not want some sick FPV footage of just your car driving down a fancy road? I was blown away last year that I got no opportunities from talking to a bunch of these guys, and a bunch of them being like, dude, you're so good, holy hell. I think it was because the folks that they hired to edit the footage last year flaked, and they only did one edit. And so there was like practically nobody got to see like the actual flight footage. And so I'm hoping they did it differently this year. They're working with multiple editors, so I'm hoping that I know that a bunch of my flight footage will make it in, because these guys, the kids that you were just looking at, those are, I think each one of them is doing at least one edit. They're like super excited. Like, dude, I was showing them on the GoPro, like, oh my God, dude, I'm using that. So yeah, should be really neat. More of the same. This is actually pretty cool. I've always wanted to fly one of these. I've always wanted to fly a stadium, but stadiums are typically really weird about drones, even when they're empty. But ask for forgiveness, not permission. And so I just flew the damn stadium. I've always been wanting to get this shot right here of the seats whizzing by. And so I'm hoping that they can use this as like a really cool little reveal, showing that Wix Family Field sign, and then bang. So yeah, I'm super hopeful that'll get used, because you know, who doesn't love a good reveal? Hopefully they can just get these colors figured out, because it looks weird even with this LUT. That apparently this is the right LUT to be using, but I'm not really sure. It still looks a little green. Although when I put this LUT into Premiere, and then I just did a quick eyedropper tool of something gray, it actually looked really nice. I can't do that right here through OBS, but maybe this is the right LUT, and you just have to touch it up a little bit after that. But and if you're going to do something once, do it twice, because maybe something magical will happen the second time. Also, you know, you can get closer or farther away to the sign. And so, yeah, I always recommend, like, if you have a cool shot like that, either do it for a whole battery or at least do it 2 times. In this case, I wanted to rotate the opposite direction at the end of it. Maybe your editor is, you know, has a clip where a car comes right to left. And so when you do that reveal and then you rotate to the right, it looks wrong. But then when you do that reveal and you rotate to the left, it looks perfect. And so, yeah, fly stuff multiple times and try to go into stuff or out of stuff in each different direction to help the editor. Help your editors. Help your local friendly editors, friends. And then, yeah, getting that nice high elevation rotate around and show the field. This is why it's helpful to force yourself to learn editing, because when you spend a bunch of time editing FPV footage, you learn stuff like this. You learn that it's really nice to give certain things to the person doing the editing to make their life easier and make them not have to like rely on some fancy transition, right? If you can have like, if your flight footage can be the transition, that's really cool. That tends to look a lot better and feel a lot. It feels like more expensive. And that's a weird thing to say, but I think you know what I'm talking about when I say that. To not have to rely on, you know, digital transitions. When you have, and like, when you look at major motion pictures other than the Star Wars movies, you will not find fancy transitions almost anywhere. The fancy transitions are the filmmakers doing like a whip or a pan or something quickly a lot of times. And that's exactly what I kind of try to do with the actual FPV footage. Here's some O4 narrow, because we got a little bit more time. Oh, and here's some stabilized. Hold on. Let me make a little folder. Stabilize. Oh, you fucking bastard, you. Hold on. Stabilized. So this has been run through GyroFlow. I didn't mean to do that. Let's see how GyroFlow did. This was just copy and paste. I didn't adjust anything. I just dumped it into GyroFlow, and I am very curious how it'll be. All right, so this is going to look horrible for a second because it's still got that GoPro LUT applied. Let's get rid of that. It's a good example of how aggressive that LUT actually is. There we go. All right, and hold on, let me do one thing real quick. Just one thing. So this is the Botanical Gardens. It was just beautiful. I want to just look for Cube real quick. Look in downloads and Hero LUT. Okay, yeah, I just want to turn that on real quick. Color correction for you just to lighten it up a little bit. Yeah, that looks a lot closer to how it would really be. The my one main complaint about the O4 Lite is that they don't let you film in log, and GoPro Color is definitely oversaturated. It's oversaturated and it's over contrasty. It's too contrasty and it's oversaturated. And so I just applied a little filter here that just brightens things up a little bit, which makes it look a little bit less like an 8-year-old jumped on the contrast slider and went ham. So yeah, this Botanical Gardens was really pretty. I was trying not to get yelled at. I really wanted to fly the whole Botanical Gardens, but I also didn't want to get yelled at. So I just kind of tried to keep my flying up towards the front, and just make as little noise as possible, basically. But there were some exotics in the parking lot, so I did try to just to get some coverage. God forbid they want to make an edit about the dinner the night before. Here's a bunch of stuff for you. Not super interesting. Here's a little overhead of the Botanical Gardens. It was really cool. It's not your typical Botanical Gardens. It's more just like a golf course without the golf course, where you can just go and kind of like walk around. There wasn't like, this is such and such a plant. It's just like, here's a whole bunch of beautiful green shit. Come hang out. Yeah, trying to fly this group. And then this guy in the Viper was pulling in, and I was screaming over to him like, "Can I fly under your rear wing? Can I fly under your rear wing?" He's like, "What? What?" And I was like, "Can I fly under your rear wing?" He's like, "Oh, yeah, absolutely." I was like, "Oh, God damn it, I'm at the end of the battery already." I had like a really nice flow at one point. It would have been perfect, but like, these are expensive cars. I'm not gonna, even though I'm just flying a plastic tiny whoop, I'm not gonna bump into a fancy car trying to fly under the wing without some sort of permission. But we ended up doing it. I was also getting pushed around by the wind a little bit. I think it was here. Yeah, there it is. That won't get used. But at that point, I was like, I just want to do it, just for the sake of doing it. So here's the O4 Narrow. For flying inside of that room, the O4 Wide that you were watching before on the 1S beta rig was better. For out here, the 2S rig was just king, because just way more power, way more runtime. The bi-blades make it a little bit more slidey, although the ducts are a lot taller, and so it's almost a wash, the 2-inch bi-blades with the taller ducts versus the 1.8-inch tri-blades with the thinner ducts. But the 2S rig having more power and a little bit more weight absolutely makes a difference. I came back and landed there because somebody fell from heat stroke, and so a bunch of the cops went. Like I took off, and then somebody said emergency, and a bunch of the cops took off running. And I was pretty sure it was heat stroke related, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be in the air let me just come on back real quick. But what was annoying is there was like 10 cops behind me, and I was taking them for a ride along. I had plugged in, and I fired up the software on my phone, and they were like, oh shit, like they got to see me take off, and they were like all laughing, and they were all excited, and then somebody says emergency, and then they take off running. And the one that was holding my phone behind me was like the oldest one. He was like, yo, if I take off running like them, I'll become the emergency. I was just like, I'll come back, it's fine. Here was interesting though. The 2S rig flying through these cars was more difficult. For sure, it was more difficult, but that makes sense. Flying through the windows of these cars is like flying inside, right? It's lightweight is king. And so, and also the wide angle, like having that wider angle when I'm yawing around lets me spot the open window and start to get it lined up earlier. So yeah. I think that about covers everything. Yeah, and then I got out of there at like 2 o'clock, drove 4 hours back here, and collapsed. I was just ruined last night. Jesus. And I'm still really feeling it, man. My feet are, my God, my feet hurt from the tips of my toes to the back of my heel. My God, I just don't live a life where I'm on my feet very much. And Jesus, it shows. So, yeah. Let me try to get caught up on chat a little bit. Levster says, it seems to me that 12 amp ESC on the new Matrix boards make more power than the 5 amp boards. Absolutely. We've shown that. Butterfly FPV has also shown that. I have it. You can see it in my thrust testing that patrons have access to in this CiottiFPV Tiny Whoop data spreadsheet. That is a known fact. If that is true, would 20 amp make more power with the same setup? If you were running motors that were pushing the 12 amp FETs close to their limit, yes. And so like on a 702 build, no. On a 702 build, a high KV 702 build, we can get to the limit of the 5 amp FETs. You know, we'll see 20 amps from the really high KV 702s. And so that's where those 12 amp FETs will absolutely make more power. Go on a 702 build like that, going up to 20 amps, it's not going to do anything because we're not pulling 48 amps. We're not pulling anywhere near 48 amps with a high KV 702. But if you're on like a 1003, for example, that's a really high KV making a whole bunch of power. This is like a $4 million car right here. Then yeah, absolutely. You could see an improvement from going from 12 to 20. So yeah, it's all about how close to the limit of the FETs are you. And so most AIOs will have the amp scaling calibrated pretty well. If it's not, like if you charge up a 400 mAh battery, 450 mAh battery, let's say, you go out, you fly it down to 3.4 volts per cell, and your milliamps on your OSD only says 200, or it says 1,000. Your amp scaling is incorrect. You got to fix your amp scaling. The easiest way to do that is just to move the amp scaling up or down and see if that MAH used gets closer or farther away. If it gets farther away, you go the opposite direction. If it gets closer, you keep going until you get it so that when you're done flying a 450 mAh battery, it says that you've taken 450 mAh out of the battery. Now your amp scaling is pretty damn close to being correct. Now you can use the amp readout in your OSD, charge up a battery, go full throttle, see what number you get to, divide that by 4, away you go. That's how you figure out if you're close to the maximum of your FETs. Also, though, keep in mind, a 5 amp FET, for example, that 5 amp number is a continuous number. There's also a second number that is a burst rating. And so for like a 5 amp FET, the burst rating will be either 6 or 7 or 8 amps. and that burst number is what that FET can handle for like between 2 and I've seen 6 seconds. It's a range, and so that matters too. Like you just got to get close enough. That's Ed Bolin on the left there from VinWiki, a massively popular YouTube channel. He's a really nice guy. I talked to him a little bit last year. I didn't get to talk to him this year, but he remembered me, which was pretty cool. And so, yeah, there you go. Good question. Dannon says, that's what I thought about the Gemfan 45mm 3-blade. HQ seems to be a much better option for the Mach 7, in my opinion. There is a new good 45mm Gemfan, though. The 1811, is it? Yep, 1811 is very well balanced and very lightweight. Unfortunately, it is a little bit fragile, though. Gemfan, in my opinion, have swung too far the other direction. They went from not balanced and too heavy to beautifully balanced, which is great, but a little bit too lightweight, and a little bit, and when props get a little bit too lightweight, they always get a little bit too fragile. And so I wish they'd not swung quite so far and made it a little bit more durable. But I would rather it be fragile and super lightweight and super well balanced than the alternative. So it's a good sign. Yeah, get you some 1811s. Uriel says, so all those people have nice cars, have a like flyer of you credential card. So I did cards, magnets, stickers last year, and I got 0 replies. Classically, I've done cards, stickers, magnets, and gotten 0 replies. I've only ever had like maybe 1 or 2 people, and it's been magnets. And so I've had the best luck with magnets because they have a little bit of kind of perceived value, right? A sticker, it's like, this is worth nothing, just throw it away. A magnet, it's at least like, oh, well, this guy paid $1 for this, maybe I'll stick it on my workbench. And so I have gotten a couple of calls from magnets, people that got home, threw it on their fridge, threw it on their workbench, and then stumbled across it 8 months later when they actually had a need. I've just had such piss poor luck. Business cards I gave up on a long time ago because they have 0 perceived value and everybody throws them away. Like, have you ever kept any business card that you weren't absolutely super interested in? No, you throw business cards away. That's what you do with them. And so I gave up on them eons ago. What I'm now doing is forcing to connect with people. I just say, no, I don't have them. Let's connect on Instagram or text. And I stand there with the person for 30 seconds and I directly send them a text message saying, hey, it's Aaron, CiottiFPV, blah, 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 blah. Just a super quick message. Or even better, I always go for Instagram. Hey, let's connect on Instagram. We're now following each other, so they will see everything that I post. And I send them a message on there so that they can search for FPV or search for Smile a While. And it's important, the message that you send them, right? Like, this is CiottiFPV, the drone guy from Smile a While, right? You got to stuff some words in there that they can then search for. And I do the same thing in the text messages that I send them. And I'm like, I've gotten kind of good at like making a little joke, like, hey, I'm gonna send you a really crude message real quick here just to get some keywords in there so you can find me. And they're like, oh, it's a great idea. And so yeah, that's where I'm at now with it, because it's 2026. Nobody has a fucking Rolodex of business cards anymore, right? Business cards get thrown away. Hopefully, like, best case scenario, they'll grab your Instagram from the business card and follow you on there. Let's take the piece of paper out of the equation and, hey, here's my Instagram. Check this video out here of me chasing these cyclists. Oh, I'm a cyclist, right? Like, it gives you a chance to talk for another minute and maybe find like something that'll get you to stick out in their brain. You know, I'm not a great business person, but like, I have been around the block once or twice, and I have interacted with 1 million people that I haven't, you know, ever talked to or called, right? Like using my own personal experience and just the world that we live in. I think this is a better kind of setup, but I could totally be wrong. What do I know? I just work here. Dannon says, is it Mobula or Meteor flying through the windows? Meteor. Well, both. I've now shown you both. Wide angle and narrow. And that's it. That's all the flight footage. This is one of the videographers here. We were having a good time up there. There it is, friends. Oh, hey, I flew the Mavic. I hate flying the Mavic. What an absolute snooze. And like it's uncomfortable, dude. It is uncomfortable to fly these things. Like all the nannies on these things, and like you can turn, I have as many of the nannies turned off as possible, but like, dude, it makes it like sketchy. At one point, like the battery started to get low, and I'm like, oh, cool. I bring it in. I'm trying to get it to land. I'm freaking hammering down on it. It's like right here. I'm trying to get it to land, and it goes into like no automatically landing. It goes back up in the air to then go over to where the GPS starting point. I'm like, dude, no. Oh my god, Mavics, man. What a pain in the ass. But you know, that shot there, right? Like there's a bunch of shots that require a gimbal that are that everybody wants. And so yeah, I almost forgot to bring the Mavic, to be honest. It would have been fine if I had, because the videographers had them, but it's good practice. It is, I think, important to have a used Mavic and learn how to fly it. To be honest, this is me practicing flying a Mavic as much as anything else. We don't need this. We don't need this color correction on here. Hold on. There you go. And so yeah, a little bit of Mavic flight time is what it is. The gimbal thing is pretty cool. I will absolutely admit. And then of course everybody likes the rotating upwards and downwards shot. So you got to do that. You gotta hit the classics. A little one here just to kind of show the Cancer Institute, little reveal of the mountains. You know, all the same shots that we've seen a million times. Man, the Mavic camera is really zoomed in. Every time I fly this thing, I'm like, good lord, these cameras are not even remotely wide angle. Which is like kind of nice because you can be farther away from stuff. But it's funny. It's always like kind of shocking to me how zoomed in they really are. Yeah, like this, getting this, trying to get it to fly under that. Good lord, I had to get it like the exact right height. I feel like the you can't like turn some of the obstacle avoidance all the way off. It's, I don't know. There's probably a setting buried deep down somewhere that will do it, but you know, I'm just not that guy. I'm not the Mavic guy. You can do cool stuff with them. I will absolutely admit that. If I'd had the budget, I would love to have. These are called horseshoe shots. Early days of me being interested in drones. I wanted to dive down at that time it was Phantom stuff, but it was just too expensive. I wish I could have though, because you could get with enough stick time, you get good at flying a Mavic. You can rip a Mavic. You're gonna lose it and you're gonna break it for sure. But yeah, and having the camera on a gimbal is pretty dope. I like seeing people that actually put stick time in on Mavics. They're very rare. They can get some really cool. They can make some really cool shit. All right. What else we got going on in the chat here? Uriel says 4 smoke trails behind the motors. Yeah, right. CiottiFPV says, I'm picturing your motors turning red like the plane in the old Tailspin cartoon. Also, for the record, flying really fast like that with that 5-inch rig, 2306s, baby, not 2207s. Yes, 2207s will make more power, but the 2306s will stay cooler. So if you want to chase 100-mile-an-hour exotics and be 90% throttle for like 60 seconds, not 60 seconds, but you know what I'm saying. 2306s being wider, they're going to stay cooler, they're going to stay more efficient, they're going to be much easier on the ESC. 2207 is a great race motor because they're changing directions, right? They're just cycling that throttle up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. But for sustained stuff like this, 2306, 2407, 2507, you want a wider motor. You want a 4-to-1 ratio motor, or even 5-to-1, right? It's in the same vein of like a Cinelifter with little 3-inch props. You want a really wide motor because it's picking up a big heavy camera for a 3-inch propeller, right? Wide motors are there for when the situation needs the motor to do a lot of work, be that heavy payload or super high speed. The problem with those wider motors is they're a little bit heavier, but yeah, it's more important for the motor to stay cool, in my opinion and in my experience. Uriel says, you were lucky with the wind. You know, I was. There was not much wind. At the end of the day, it was a little nuts at the car show, but the whole day up until that point, the wind was not very bad at all. Although, I'll be honest, I would have been totally okay with wind when I was out chasing the exotics, as long as it wasn't a headwind. A headwind would have sucked, but there's a 25% chance of a headwind, right? You got 25% chance of a tailwind, 25% this way, 25% this way. So 75% chance that tailwind would have been amazing. Left or right wind would have actually been really nice because that lets you crab. You can crab sideways while you're still flat with a sideways wind. And I would have loved that, but I did not have that. I did not have that. It was either no wind or either a headwind or a tailwind. I didn't notice it, and so it was not a wind from the side. Render says, so more power, more pitch, more faster. You got it, brother. Pitch is the way to go faster, not bigger propellers. Bigger propellers are for picking up heavier payloads or more runtime. Luca says, what do you think of the Cineglide 7-inch for long range? The Cineglide is a very old frame. This is a 5-ish year old frame. The 7-inch arms, if you can find them, which you won't be able to, are only 5 millimeters, which is not thick enough for how long they are. There are many better options for 7-inch long-range frames nowadays. I am like all the way invested in the Glide ecosystem, though. I have 5-inch True X arms. I have 5-inch Dead Cat arms. I have 5.5-inch Dead Cat arms. I have 5-inch 6mm thick True X arms. I have 7-inch Dead Cat arms. I have 6-inch arms. Like, and they're most of the Glide stuff is interchangeable. And so for me, I'm all in on the Glides. But if you're not that deep into the Glide world, then there's kind of no reason to start because it's getting really hard to find Glide stuff. Rugi doesn't really keep them in stock. Now that FPV is slowed down and frames have kind of moved on, right? It's an older frame that not many people are super interested in. And so I can't really recommend the Glide anymore. Unless you already have it. Not that it's fine though. Like especially if you want a lightweight build, it is still a totally valid frame if you want to build something that's 600 grams all up or 620 grams all up with a Session or a Hero 8. One of the lighter ones. Yeah, it's a fine frame, but there's a lot of other options. Most of the other options are a lot heavier, though. So, like, if you're dead set on a lightweight 5-inch build, it's still a perfectly valid option, I think. But not for a 7-inch. It was never... The 7-inch thing was like a 6-month thing that Rugi dove into and didn't really go much farther with it. For a lot of the same reasons that I'm not. It is really only for hardcore long range. It really doesn't make sense for anything else, and he was not. That's not what he wanted out of it. And so yeah, can't really recommend it for that. Dannon says, you probably know Sylvain Lopez. Just wondering what he's flying when recording car races. Actually, don't. Sylvain or Sylvian? I don't know that name. Render says, what's your all-up weight of the rig you flew? Wanting to go chase car clubs near me. All I have is a Vapor, Demibot, and Era 5. Thinking of putting 2060 kV on the Vapor, but it has 1950 already. No reason to go from 1950 to 2060. That'll be a so small of a change. It will not. It's not worth it. With the two first batteries I flew were my R-Line 6S 1400s, which probably had that thing knocking on the door of like 700 grams all up. Which doesn't really matter for what I was doing. I wasn't changing direction. I was just bombing in a straight line. With the normal batteries, the 1050s, it's probably closer. It had the heavy camera on it, the Hero 12. It was probably like 620, maybe 630. Very lightweight. For car races, stuff where they're changing direction, lightweight is going to be king. But to be honest, for car racing, any old 5-inch rig will do. Just go do it. And it's like 98% pilot skill. CiottiFPV says, you make an excellent point. Maybe you should build a rocket drone. I'm so tempted, but I'm not. And no, I don't mean a fast drone with 3D printed area. I mean strapping an actual rocket motor to a drone. There's more of a chance of me doing that than building the 3D printed aero drones. I wish somebody would do a molded rocket drone. The 3D printed ones, apparently, if you think about crashing, the fairings explode in midair. I've been kind of waiting for somebody to do a molded one, which probably won't happen because it's a super niche thing within a niche within a niche within a niche. CiottiFPV says, I spent a bit playing with DaVinci Resolve. You're a Premiere guy though, right? Yeah, unfortunately. Ryan Sadat says, been flying the Spark Hobby 1103 8500 on 2.5-inch analog 2S. Haven't bent the shaft yet, not running T-mount screws. It's very floaty. Spark Hobby 1103. Okay, so maybe they have a slightly better motor shaft material. It's so hard though. Everybody crashes differently. Everybody crashes at a different speed. Everybody's builds are a different weight. If you're saying it's very floaty, that means it's pretty lightweight, so that's gonna crash a little bit better. Yeah, durability is a really tough thing to nail down. But I have heard good things about those Spark Hobby motors. I still think that going to 1202.5s is the best bet to get that extra 0.5 millimeter. That is, there's no way that even with a better shaft material, a 1.5 mil motor shaft is going to outperform 2 mil in terms of durability. Ryan also says, check out some Hoka shoes or something similar. A lot of nurses and people who work in healthcare where they need to stand a lot swear by them for comfort standing all day. Yeah, if I end up doing a part or full-time job again here where I have to be on my feet all the time, I'll certainly buy shoes that are more comfortable than, I mean, at the moment my shoes are all like style versus comfort. Although, I mean, they're skate shoes, and skate shoes tend to be pretty comfortable, but not the most comfortable. Phil Bradley says, I'd be so nervous flying close quarters to a Pagani. I did not get close to it with the Cinesplorer. Yeah, with the Cinesplorer. I only got close to it with these. I was like, yeah, no, fuck that shit. I'm only bumping into them with something less than 50 grams made of plastic. And even with these guys, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm keeping my fucking distance from this thing. Ryan says, some guys in General Nonsense for a chance to try the new what? Seems like, have had a chance to try the new Gemfan 1816. Seems like they're pretty good. A little more power, slightly worse response time. I didn't even know that was a thing. Gemfan 1816. Who's selling those? Anybody? I don't want to go there. There it is on Gemfan's website. Wait, no, I guess I guess I maybe did stumble across this, but I couldn't find it for sale anywhere, maybe. Yeah, that's right. There's nobody in the US selling it yet. Where are you guys getting these from? Where'd you guys find these in stock? I would love to try them. The other thing I don't like about these 1811s is that 11 is a little bit low of a pitch. More pitchy props are also more durable, and so those higher pitch props might fix all the problems with these. Lucas says, I'm 14, and for my side job, I do shoots for real estate. That's fantastic. I went to about 15 real estate offices and told them what I do, and I forgot about 10 jobs filming houses on the weekends. Love that, dude. That's awesome. Real estate is constantly in need of content. It is a fantastic spot to get a bunch of work experience. Euro says, good job, I get it. Phil Bradley says, which car would you pick if they let you take one home? The McLarens look rather nice, and they go like a stabbed rat. Ed Vinwicky's buddy brings a Lamborghini Diablo SV, the orange one, every year. That would be up there. None of these hypercars really do anything for me. They're for the last like 15 years, the hypercars have been, the performance is absolutely unbelievable. But that's not enough. And all that performance just means that you die at a higher mile an hour. For me, like, those cars are about like the emotion, and the older stuff has way more emotion and way more character. You know, you can get crazy performance out of a Honda Civic. You can't get the driving experience of a 90s independent throttle body V12 Diablo SV from anything other than that specific car. And so at this exotic rally, it might be that Diablo, to be honest. It's funny. I don't spend any time like actually looking at the cars because they're just completely unrealistic. It's just, you know, I'll never. I've gotten to drive quite a few supercars during my time as an instructor, but getting to really own and drive one hard, that is just not a realistic thing. And so I just don't really think about it. And so I'm having a weirdly difficult time remembering some of the cars that were there. But it would be something from the 90s or 2000s. Like, there was not a McLaren P1. McLaren P1 is up there for sure. There were no Ferrari F40s or F50s. They would be absolutely up there. There's a couple Lambos, like the Aventador, the LP640. They would be up there for sure. You know what? Ed Bolin from VinWiki was actually driving a gorgeous dark green Aventador. Is it on? I bet you there's a picture of it on his Instagram channel. Hold on, let's see. VinWiki. This would have more than likely been it. That's him. This is what he had last year. He had the Bugatti last year. Oh, Ed. You know, it probably wasn't his car. It was probably somebody else's car that he was driving. Oh, here it is. Nope, here it is. Yep, this would have been it. You can kind of see it in the back. Is it going to pull up? There it is. Yep, that would have been it. That is a, I don't know if it's an Aventador or an LP640, but yeah, this would be it. This is 2000s Lambo big naturally aspirated V12 in the rear. Similar. This is the one version newer than the Diablo. The Lamborghini Diablo engine went into this Aventador. The Aventador is the car that had those. It looked like a fucking Batmobile, and it had those radiators that would pop up like this when it started to get hot. And so yeah, here it is. There it is. There it is. There. Murcielago, not Aventador. Sorry, Murcielago. This would have been it. The color was fucking gorgeous. This green was like almost holographic in the sun. Oh my god. Yeah, this would have been it. For sure. He's got really good taste in cars. That's for certain. Yeah, this would have been it. Just old school cool as fuck right here. Yep. Cole FPV says Mavic is useful enough just to put in the air. Indeed. Lock GPS and you leave it on way flat. Yeah, I've always wanted to do that, but like I've been a bit of a wuss about it. Like I've always wanted to just put it up in the air and put the transmitter down, but man, having a drone in the air without the transmitter in my hands, I can't let myself do it. If it was like a field or something, or like an empty parking lot, like okay, but that's never when I'm flying the Mavic. I'm always flying the Mavic on a gig. And yeah, it's just too weird. It's just too weird not being hands-on, being able to like do something if something goes weird. But you're right, Cole. You're absolutely right. 6 batteries later, you can bring it down, or you can just move it around between batteries. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The other problem at this particular event is there are like 3 or 4 other Mavics in the air and a full-size helicopter, and so like yeah, I try to be super safe. I don't try to be super safe. I am absolutely super safe. Render says, have you ever tried the FPV flight mode on a Mavic? For like 4 seconds, then I was like, nope, this ain't proper FPV. It's actually really cool. And you can get killer smooth flights, but the gimbal is locked if I remember right. Yeah, it was... What freaked me out was the throttle. Having up be up and down be down. I was just like... I did it in an empty church parking lot. And like very quickly, I was like, man, nope, I was like, I'm going to destroy this thing. Like, I'm going to slam this thing into something and the gimbal is going to explode as they always do when you crash these. I'm not doing it. This is a tool for doing one thing. I don't want to send it in for, $200-300 in repairs. We good. Mick Mucus says, hello, dude. My 65mm whoop ascends when I cut the throttle when I'm traveling fast. The only thing I did is change the props. What gives? Go to props in. That should make it better. When I cut throttle when I'm traveling fast. Yeah, when you're traveling fast, there's a bunch of airflow, and that airflow is going to move all around. And so when you cut the throttle, it's the PID loop is trying to keep the thing from wobbling all around, and the best way for it to do that is to make power. So yeah, go to props in. That should help. Technically, a part of the solution is to go to 24K, because the lower your PWM frequency, the more motor braking you get, the more engine braking you get, and that's going to help that situation. Right? It's ascending because it's using power to keep it from wobbling, and so if you increase the braking, it won't have to use as much power, but then you lose thrust and you lose runtime, and so definitely go props in before going down to 24K is an extreme approach to that. So yeah, you can also try turning down your thrust linearization, but the problem with doing that is, and if it's not ascending, it's going to wobble. And so what do you want? Do you want the footage to be smooth, or do you want the footage with a little bit of an elevation bump, or do you want it to be wobbly without ascending? But go props in first. That'll make a big difference. P Money put a comma after CiottiFPV and not an @ in front of it, so it didn't tag me, but I happened to see it. He says you should have sported a more of a bougie outfit with Gucci logo to fit in instead of looking like us. Maybe it was too fucking hot out for anything other than a t-shirt and shorts. More Love says, I built a 2S Meteor 75-2 with 1002 21,000 kV motor limited to 67%. How did you do that? How did you fit a 2S battery into a Meteor 75 V2? Did you cut the battery bay up? If you cut the battery bay up, how are you holding that battery in there? Uriel says, Fiat 600 a Barth. You should know them. It's fun. It's not 600. It's 500. Cinquecento. Ryan Sadat says, I have an extra set of the 1816s ordered from AliExpress. Oh, of course, AliExpress. I have to do another AliExpress order. Good call. AliExpress. I got to order more of those right angle bastards. Gemfan 1816. There they are. Oh yeah, that looks completely different. That looks really durable. It also kind of looks heavy, if we're honest. But we'll see. I'll take that durability all day. I definitely want the no plug version. Don't send me props with a plug on them. AliExpress. Cool. Good call, dude. Thank you. More Love says, and went on fire. What motor would you recommend for most power? Can't answer that question. That is a way too open-ended question. I do one-on-one phone calls to dive into stuff like that. But your previous comment is built a 2S Meteor 75 V2 with the 1002 21,000s limited to 67%. And those motors caught on fire. Yeah, that's way too high of a KV. And you never want a motor limit down below 80%. It probably caught on fire when you were turtle moding, because turtle mode does not obey the motor limiting. Or in the motors tab. The motors tab also does not obey the motor limiting. Yeah, you just got to be lower KV. You want to be down around like 15,000 KV. So yeah, any old 1002 at 15,000 kV. But yeah, asking for the most power, More Love, never, ever, ever ask for the most power, because the answers that you're going to get are absurd. The motors that you had, they're the answer. Like the answer to your question is like 1002, 22,000 kV. And so, but in general, in terms of FPV, most people don't know a lot. And so asking for the most power is going to give you a horrible selection of answers, especially in this case, because you had the most powerful motors and they caught on fire, because that's what the most powerful stuff does. It catches on fire. So never, never, never ask for the most power. You want to give a lot more info. Like, I'm looking for 2.5 minute runtime. I fly in my front yard, so it's a small area. I don't want to fly inside my house. I usually fly 5-inch rigs with a lot of power, so that's sort of the power to weight ratio. That's the kind of stuff that you want to put into a question, so that there's some chance that the answers that you're going to get are not just going to be some jackass on Reddit telling you exactly what they fly because they think that what they fly is the best thing on earth. Maybe it is the best thing for them specifically, but you're different. And so, like, be really, really careful. Like, you got to be super specific with your questions, or else the answers that you're going to get are useless, completely useless, and will waste you a ton of time and money. So yeah, be super, super careful. Most of the answers to FPV questions, literally more than 50% of the answers that you will get to FPV questions on the internet will be absolutely dead ass wrong. And in some cases, you can get hurt or waste a bunch of money or hurt somebody else. So be really, really, really careful. Ryan Sadat says, have you ever had flickering of the image in your analog video feed? I mean, it kind of always does that, doesn't it? Mine is set to NTSC running the CO3. Can't seem to get rid of the constant flicker of the image. With analog, man, it's so bad and all over the place that I don't even notice anymore. Like, if I can kind of see where I'm going, I'm happy. So yeah, I can't say that I've ever had specifically like a flicker, but like maybe I have and I just haven't noticed it, because it's just always kind of pretty bad. Euro says, I cannot pay for a new set of tires or something else that breaks or is Audi part. That Audi tax is real. Ryan says, were there any Mercedes CLR GTRs? Yes. Maserati MC12s? No. MC12 is horrendously rare in this country. Those are some of my all-time favorites. Yeah, crazy car, but super, super, super rare. It's basically just an Enzo with a big-ass body kit on it. Dannon FPV with a 5-pound super chat. He says 5-pound holla. Thank you, Dannon. Very kind of you. Phil Bradley says, Porsche Carrera GT would be up there for me. Yeah, for sure. Great exhaust note. Apparently pretty sketchy to drive. But yeah, hell of an exhaust note. Hell of a good-looking car, too. More Love says, I put it on. Its side works great. I'm not sure what that's in reference to. Yura says, thought later versions had even a 600cc. Maybe. I'm not a super Fiat guy. We're talking about the Fiat Cinquecento. Well, those would be like Sept. I don't know what 600 is in Italian. I barely know what 500 is in Italian. Wipe your lenses off after gigs. They get flies and shit on them. I noticed in that one clip, all of a sudden I must have hit a fly or a gnat or something. There was junk on the lens. Junk on the ND filter, I should say. Let's fly a couple of batteries outside, and then we will all enjoy the rest of our weekend. What do you say? 2 340 mAh weBLEED batteries. Going on to the outdoor, not really outdoor, but this is a Air 65 V2 racing. It's the 30,000 kV motors. I think those are the races, right? Yep, racing. With the HQ bi-blades, 1.2 by 1.2 by 2 bi-blades. This is a wonderful outdoor 65 millimeter tiny whoop setup. But don't fly 65 millimeter tiny whoops outside. They don't belong. They belong inside the house. Shit is all over the place still. Hold on, I gotta get the my other module. All right, so I don't need this transmitter. This is my work transmitter. This is my fun transmitter. The one that's all yellow and disgusting from being over a decade old. Of my dirty ass Italian hands all over. All right, flying outside. This could only possibly end badly. Here we go. I'm going to be backed off because it's hard to find quads in this backyard. But this will be fun. Okay, go with that. Excellent. Kick these on. And here we go. Either the lens is dirty or... Oh, no. Ah, yes. I think the lens is a little dirty on the top there. I'll clean it for the next battery. This tree, man. This tree and I, we're having a fight. This is my dive tree. And I'm trying to... I really want to get... Where's my dive tree at? I really want to figure out how to dive in between these branches. It looks like there's a little gap right here, exactly right here, but then there's that branch there. I really want to be able to dive it from like all the way up here though, but I can't quite find the perfect like little tunnel down it. Is it here? No! Oh God, no! Don't do it to me. Yeah, me and that tree are we're figuring it out. Here we go. Ripping the backyard. Treehouse living. Oh, don't do it. It's so much fun to fly like really hard back here when I'm not live streaming and I can go retrieve. But boy, does it suck to retrieve out here. Yo! I really want to clear this out. This branch here is fucking with my chi because I want to be able to throw it up over this like that. This branch too. This branch has got to go. Oh! Ooh! And this one as well. I really want to get rid of this one. This whole area here can go to hell. Wait, where's that? Where's that big? Here it is. Oh God, where's that hole in the tree? There it is. Here we go. Oh God, what was that? No, don't kill me. Oh no, the battery's dead. Yeah, one last moment of madness. All right, hold on. Let me switch this battery real quick. We'll do one more real fast. It's almost 5:30. Jesus. Little thing playing the William Tell Overture. Is that the William Tell Overture? It is now. Here we go. Ryan Sadat asks about students with vipers. There's a joke amongst track day instructors that we always whoever pulls the shortest straw is the one that has to instruct the Corvettes and the Vipers, because those cars tend to have owners with the biggest egos and the least amount of actual driving skill. And those cars both have a lot of mechanical grip, so they will go very fast. But then, and so when they let go, you're going really fast. And so, yeah, the new instructors always get stuck in those. I didn't do a ton of track day instruction, so I never had any real horror stories. Jesus, no, please. Calm. Oh, that was the neighbor's yard. I haven't been over there yet. Woof. Oh God. Yeah, that is a real thing. No. Oh. Low battery. Come on, it's been 1 minute and 20 seconds. Hey, here we go. Yo. If I stay over here, at least if I crash, it won't be in the pit of doom. Oh God, where'd that branch come from? You always been like that? Have you always been there, branch, or did you just break? Yo! Hey! Oh God. There it is. That's how you ruin a battery. Just keep flying it. Woo! We survived, friends. We survived. And that's what matters. No, it's not. It matters that we had fun. Hold on, we're going to fly one more. We're going to fly a 75mm battery because I have to discharge this 75mm battery. And I've got the Air 75 V2 with a motor swap. So let's see if I can lose this thing down the bottom of the hill. Yeah, this is pretty much just exactly that. Air 75 V2. That hates having these GEP-RC motors, but I've spent just barely enough time black box logging and tuning that it's pretty good. This is with a Lava V2 480 mAh battery. Here we go. Still some vibrations though. Look at the difference in how it covers ground. It just feels right. Like 75 mil builds just feel so much better. Is that a ooh, I like, oh God. I think that's a propeller coming off. Yep. That would be the left rear. That was short-lived. Come on now. I'm turning off my transmitter, which will make it start beeping, and it'll make it a little bit easier to find out there. Hang on. Let me go grab it. Sure enough, the left rear propeller left the chat, as the cool kids say. Does that make me cool? Now that I said it? Well, I'll just discharge this battery on the on the charger. Fine. GepRC, why the fuck did you make these motor shafts short? Motor manufacturers, stop making the motor shaft shorter. Stop it. You idiots. Thanks for hanging, friends. My name's Aaron Ciotti. You can go to hell. No, don't go to hell. Go to CiottiFPV.com and support me so that I don't die. I keep this thing not like supported by companies, so that when I review something, I can tell you the truth, and that's tough to do. So yeah, help a brother out. Go over to CiottiFPV.com, join my Patreon. That's the best possible way for you to support me. It also gives you the most benefits. Click the affiliate links. Change your bookmarks to the affiliate links because you have to hit them over and over and over again. Buy something from my Etsy store, a t-shirt from my Teespring, or other stuff. There's a really cool... one of my favorite things, actually my favorite thing on the Teespring store is this tote bag. It says kill all carbon on one side, CiottiFPV on the other side. If you want to look incognito, tote bags, friends. If you've got like a military looking backpack or like pretty much anything other than a tote bag, you're going to look way more official. This, put your FPV shit in it. Nobody will be the wiser. Fly wherever you want. It's also really nice to have, like, it's a canvas material that propellers won't punch holes in. I love having those. Throw them in the car, like when you have that extra quad that doesn't fit in your regular bag or whatever, you just throw it in there. So nice to have. So nice to have. There you go. Thanks for hanging, friends. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Bye-bye! I guess I played all the flight footage. I'll play something again. I'll play the fast flying, that first run, that first big run that I did. First big fast run. Bye-bye! Love you guys.
Yeah. Out in the yard where the grass grows wild, CiottiFPV's goggles locked, grinning like a child. Teddy spaghetti's, fur flies, and jet wash dreams. Yeah. Chasing small whoops like a dog possessed fiend. Eyes on a neon blur, hard in the chase. Bit fuzz and prop spin, all tangled in place. Yeah. Four-legged rebel with a rotor stir tail in the circus of the sky. They never fail. CiottiFPV, Teddy spaghetti, in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a 2D smile. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ciotti's on sticks, Teddy's on paws. Side by side legends breaking all the laws. Through the kitchen over couch scale terrain. Backyard mayhem in their flight domain. No ground too sacred, no loop too tight. Fuzz fuel fury ignites the night. When pilot and pup lock eyes on the prize, every whoop they conquer is a fresh cut surprise. Yeah. Yo, Ciotti behind the sticks, Teddy's leading the pack. Prop guard missiles unleashed, never looking back. No leash, no map, just freestyle mic. They on the dog drone streets every day and night. Said whoops, hitting low, gotta nail the dive, Teddy. Push throttle up, feel the beast come alive. I see the neon arc, got the sticks locked in, Teddy. Yeah, let's rip this loop, ride the roar of the wind, Teddy. Yep. Yeah, CiottiFPV, yeah. Teddy's spaghetti, yeah. Diamond and duo kings, barking at the breeze, throttling at top speed, zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a 2D smile. Teddy's spaghetti. Barking at the breeze, falling at top speed, zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a 2D smile. Yeah, when you hear that bar cut the rotor hum, you know Ciotti and Teddy's mission's just begun. FPVs, fur-faced legends, legends singing loud. Yeah, Teddy's spaghetti and CiottiFPV.